What's up, guys? Steve here, bring you guys another deck profile. This one is a fun deck, but I think it's pretty good, pretty strong. But yeah, it's called Ogdoadic Orcust, and it involves you playing Orcust and snakes, and the snakes help you get free monsters on field. So you could either bring out more snakes, and you could easily make Gersu, because a lot of the snakes are level 8 monsters. So you can make Gersu and then make Zeus, which is pretty good. Hard make Gersu, make Zeus. And if you got any banished Orcust cards, you literally, 2 materials, tattoo, what's the monster's name? Give yourself a 4 material Zeus. So it's pretty good. But that's not the only reason why you play other OTK cards too as well. Let me get to the profile. First card we start off with is Gersu. This card does so much. People don't play this in the Scrap Orcust variant, but I will still play this card in the Scrap Orcust variant. You do not need to normal summon this guy. Skeleton brings him back for you. When he comes back, he dumps the one bring back whatever, and then this guy essentially was free without a normal summon. So yeah, you don't really need to play him in Scrap Orcust, but he is good to play in Scrap Orcust because he gives you more cards to your grave. So yeah, 3 Gersus, mandatory in this list. So he's a level 4 monster. And also he gives you a token, which is a free monster to tribute with your snakes if he is the only monster you open up and not the other snake. So Orcust engine. I play a big Orcust engine here because you do a lot of discarding. So it's okay to play a bigger engine, and also these engines help you draw. So I play 2 Orcust returns. So 3 Nightmares, 3 Gersus, 2 Skeletons, 2 Wands, gives me Orochi. He's a level 8 monster that can recur itself. So for the snakes, you play 3 of the light because this is a free level 4 monster. And you can make King Pharaoh Imps with this and Gersu to search another reptile. If this guy is normal or special summon and searches the Ogdoadic Water Lily, the spell card, that allows you to send 1 extra reptile, and if you have 5 in the grave with different names, you can summon back 1. So yeah, this card is really good. You need this at 3 as well. You probably can play 2 of this, but I will play this at 3 because you can banish this as well off of the level 8 light monster, which I'm about to get into after this guy. Zohan is the reason why this deck is able to be played, because he's a dark reptile. You can send this off of Nunu, especially if you open up the Nanya. And this guy literally says send 1 card from your hand and add him to hand. So you could pitch an Orcust Nightmare to grave just to add him to hand. Or you could pitch an Eldritch trap card to add it to hand. So it plays very good with Eldritch and Orcust together. So I only play 1 in the Orcust variant because all his effects are once per turn. I don't see no reason to play multiple copies of him. The big ones, this one banishes whatever it brings back. And on top of that, this one allows your opponent to summon 1 from grave. This allows your opponent to add 1 from grave to hand. So yeah, this guy puts your banished Orcust and snakes back into your grave, and this special summons any of your reptiles from grave to trigger any of their effects. Like you can use the light to either trigger his effect to search 1 and discard, which allow your opponent to draw 1 and discard, or you can just bring him back, which just searches your water lily for you. So yeah, pretty good cards. And they level 8s, and they tribute 1 monster each to come out on the field. So you can make a free level 8 monster. Your other level 8s, well, not even just your level 8s, but your boss monsters, because you play 2 level 8s for the boss, and then you play the level 10 boss. Reason why I play this guy, because a lot of people don't play him. Well, if you have 5 reptiles in grave, you have Water Lily, send in special summon this. This card is hard for your opponent to out. He's a 31 beast stick, level 10, that could send all the monsters on the field of graveyard. Kind of hard to get over. And I play these guys because the king gives you follow-up play for your next turn. The queen brings back this guy or this guy so you can get their effects off. So I think these guys are pretty good. Cause a lot of times your Orcust build on your Orcust board, you know your Orcust do more engrave, so you tribute them off to bring back either the queen, and the queen is a dark. So if you locked on an Orcust, you could still summon the queen. You can't summon the queen and the king and the overlord because they're light monsters. You're locked into dark. So the queen is good to summon back, and then you use the queen because you still have either one of these engraved. The queen on your opponent's turn, if they hand trap or they send any monsters from deck or hand to grave, summon back your king. Now you have two interactions with your opponents. You could send one from their field, you could send one from their hand, but you have other interactions because he could search and she could also summon one for grave, which you already probably did off this. So you can leave these two on board because you can summon this off the Water Lily before you use any Orcust effect. Then in the end, after you do your Orcust effect, summon her out the grave. Then use her to bring back the Overlord. So it's pretty good on your opponent's turn. You do all that on your opponent's turn. You just need these two on field or just her on field. So that's why people ask why I play these. I play these because you got to know how to play these. And this give your opponents other cards to out. Now they have to out your king and your queen. Because if your king and queen could turn into your overlord, or your king and your queen, or your queen could just turn to your king, which gonna get rid of cards from their hand and from their field. They don't want that. They want to get rid of your cards first. And these cards could literally out the cards that could stop your Orcust engine. So you could literally play these, have Babel on field, and still have Orcust combo, and have Crescendo set. So you can even bring back a Galatea or Lone Gersu, because you can make Lone Gersu. Bring back Lone Gersu, counter trap negate, Lone Gersu shuffle back. It's possible. I have done it numerous times testing this deck. That's the reason why I built this deck, because the deck is pretty good. You could bait out just trying to play your hand. You have so many effects that you can activate from hand. For the hand traps, I play really just Ash because Ash is generic and it's good against every deck. So I want to be able to at least have some hand interaction with my opponent. For the spell, this card literally has to be 2 negates because they have to negate this and whatever you discard. If you discard a Nightmare Orcust, that means they have to discard negate 2 cards. This and your Orcust card. So they negate this now, but they know they have to save one for your Orcust Nightmare. If they don't, then you still have full Orcust combo. And even if they negate this, you'll probably have snakes in your hand to still make snake plays. So it's very hard for them to stop your snake plays, and then you already got Orcust set up for them to also stop your Orcust plays. I play triple tax, and I feel like this deck is the one that get hand trapped the most. If they start seeing you trying to get Orcust cards in grave or send snakes to grave, they want to stop you from doing that. So triple tax punish them for that. I think this is more a better deck to play than Virtual World. Virtual World, they have to hand trap you, but a lot of times they don't have the right hand traps. And the hand traps that work against Virtual World, like Lancey and stuff, they can work against this deck, but not necessarily. Because if you got Babel on the field, you got a way to get into Babel, you're fine. You just got to put them in grave. Then Water Lily, I play 2. People play 1 of this. You could up this card to 3. Because your opponent's most likely going to try to negate this. Especially if you pitch a bunch of reptiles to grave. Only thing you need is 2 reptiles to get 4 in grave. That's your 5th one. If they negate this, then you have another one bow activated. But I play this card because this help you also combo. Because if you don't have Zohan and you have a Nightmare hand, you can send Zohan. And then Zohan pitch the Nightmare and bring Zohan out. Normal summon Zohan, use Nightmare Orcust effect. Now you got Orcust combo. Bow. Good card. Lord Darkness, you banish your snakes, get them back with level 8. Banish your Orcust, put them back in grade 2. Banish your Orcust cards, you can summon them back out. I like to banish Gersu off this. And then if I draw into 1 or I pitch 1 to grade first, I can summon back the Gersu from the banish area and Gersu get his effect to send. So it's really good. Lord Darkness is kind of free in here. Foolish Burial. You play this and call by grade because you don't want your opponents to stop you. Your opponent stop you and you'll have no follow-up play. Like I had a whole Orcust combo, but I misplayed it. So what happened was I had callback grade, and not just callback grade, a random monster I'm up on the grade to try to bait a spell negation. Well, I should just saved it, let them negate it with let them negate my snake rain, and because I still had combo. I have foolish barrier on hand with a monster. I could have normal summon. Let them negate snake rain, then they had another negate for like a spell or a monster. So they wasn't gonna negate the callback grade. I had another spell. They was gonna try to negate the foolish burial with ash blossom. That's why I could call back grave right then and there, because I had snake rain this, and I had another spell. Can't remember what it was. I think it was the Ogdoadic water lily. Yeah, I think I had the water lily. And I know he was gonna negate the water lily because I already had from like 2-3 snakes in grave. So I knew he was gonna already negate this. So I should just activated snake rain, negate, activate water lily, negate, okay, foolish barrier, ash, callback grave, bow. Combo. I didn't do that. So it's always good to have at least these cards, because these cards by themselves is good. You play a big Orcust engine, so I played 2 returns. Because it's nothing better than being able to resolve lure and return in the same turn. But you could probably cut this card to 1. But I played 2 of it. Orchestrated Babel and 1 Crescendo. Now, Crescendo is another card I had opened up, and I should have had just left the Crescendo, because I could have pitched the Crescendo search Gersu off the Snake Rain, which I think I did, but he asked the Crescendo. My Foolish Burial is free to resolve, but I'd rather Crescendo resolve than fucking Foolish Burial resolve. And then I can search Gersu, which gives me instant Galatea. So you probably could. I'll probably in the future take one of these out and make a second Crescendo. But I really do not feel like looking for my other Crescendo right now. So I just put the return in there. So it's most likely should be 2 Crescendo, 1 Babel, 1 return. Because this card is pitched, you do plays by itself. You won't be able to summon a reptile, but you can do plays. And that's all that matters. Once you start playing with this deck, it's hard to stop it. Your opponent will not be able to stop you if you start playing with this deck. Because you have too many cards to interact, too many cards to bring back from grave, and then all your cards in your grave is pretty much live. Extra deck. Zeus, you can make it with Ding. King of the Fair Imp. That's your rank 4. Your other rank 4, the Stena. So you can make your rank 9, which is Hyperion. So Zeus, Hyperion, Rika, King of Fair Imp. For the rest of the XZs, of course we play Ding. You play 2 Dings, because you play rank 8s. I level 8s in here, a lot of level 8s. So you play Ding, Hope Harbinger, number 97, number 100. That's the OTK card right there. For links, board key, board blocker. You can play this card at Eldritch too. It's more better in Eldritch than in this list because you can actually add back off his effect. Because most of the time Babel's gonna be up on field, so you can't really add Babel. So you could play this in Ogdoadic Eldritch, which I want to make. I'm probably gonna make a list for it. Ogdoadic Eldritch, and then use this card to just pitch cards on top of your snake pitching cards. Full Eldritch engine, and it turbos your it makes your Eldritch engine that much faster by getting the cards to grade that you need. Board Sword, Link Karibo, because you freely make Board Sword here. Long Gersu, Galatea, and Galatea. That's all you need. This deck is pretty good. You got OTK cards in your extra, as far as Board Sword and number 100. Then you have an Omni Negate, which is your Hyperion. Then you have a monster that sends your whole board, which is Zeus. And then you have a card that non-targeting sends, which is Ding. Another card that non-target sends, Long Gersu. Also, You have Hope Harbinger, which can negate spells. And you have Dragbulian, or Draglubian, untargetable dragon. That's 3K attack and defense. If you can't OTK, I don't see how. Number 100 becomes 9K immediately. Plus a 3K monster, but you can't attack with him. You can only attack with the Numeron. When the Numeron can bring itself back, it have a graveyard effect. If your opponent declare attack while this card in your graveyard, you can and don't have no cards in hand and field, which is really easy to do in this deck because you pitch everything in the grave anyway. You can bring this card back to protect yourself. And this card doesn't banish itself, so you can do it every turn to protect yourself. Pretty good card. You got the cards I picked had to have some type of multiple interactions in my deck in order for me to play the card. And Lone Gursa was pretty good because it's a Link 3 that helps you recycle all your banished Orcust cards if you like shoot through them real fast. And on top of it, you can make Ding on top of him. So, cards I would play in the side, I say Red Reboot because traps are just horrible this matter. They just stop everything. You got Order to stop the spells. Then I got the Evenly Match, so I can break boards. Twin Twister for the back row as well. And since you're playing Orcust in a card deck that requires banishing, your Cosmic is not good. And I don't want to pay the life points for Cosmic. So I think Twin with the discard is way better. Twin with the discard and Eldritch is way better. Putting droplets in here is pretty decent too. But I played Lancia and I played... There's supposed to be more Phantasmas. There's supposed to be 2 more Phantasmas. So let me just grab them up out of here. Bow, Phantasmas. Phantasmas, Prankatops. That's it for the list. It's just a fun deck to make. Like, subscribe, let me know what you like about the list, what you don't like, what you would change. Hit the notification bell, subscribe. Y'all stay blessed.